it go?
I am Richard Neville, Earl of Warwick, and you join us here at Warwick Castle in the year 1471, and these are dark and troubled times. England is at war, but she fights for herself. Brother against brother, father against son, in a wicked civil war that you will call the Wars of the Roses. The battle between the House of York and the House of Lancaster, each trying to put their man on the throne of England. In 1471, I align my forces with the Lancastrian cause. We support Henry VI, and tomorrow we march upon London to take the Yorkist King Edward from the throne of England and replace it with King Henry. We intend to attack the capital. For this, we will need cannon. We will need siege machines. But most of all, we will need that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one of the biggest and most powerful siege engines in the world. The Warwick Castle Trebuchet! Yes, indeed. At over 18 metres high and 22 tonnes, it certainly is one of the biggest and most powerful. And for 1471, the very latest in technology. Look, wheels inside the machine. What are they for? I will tell you. Traditionally, you load a trebuchet by putting down the throwing arm and lifting the counterweight by using beasts of burden. Horses and oxen. Always been done that way, and to be honest, it's always worked. But a couple of niggling problems with that system. If you take horses and oxen to war with you, you tie up a percentage of your troops just looking after animals. Men that you can't really spare. Also, your enemy will be trying to cut off your supply train. If they succeed, hungry soldiers are not reasonable people. They will either rise up against you or just disappear into the night. You can't let that happen, so you let them eat the horses and the oxen. Then you've no way of loading your trebuchet. But somebody somewhere had a moment of genius. Another way, a way that we could use our soldiers. How? We adopt medieval cranes. They are ingeniously simple, just huge wheels that men walk inside. So, you take two crane wheels and you put them inside the trebuchet. The two wheels are linked by a central axle. Take 4 people, put 2 in each wheel and get them to walk that way. There's a rope attached to the throwing arm, goes down through a pulley and then up to the central axle. There it is tied on. The men's walking action tightens the rope around the axle, pulling down the arm and lifting the counterweight. That huge wooden box that hangs in the middle of the machine. That box and its contents weighs just over 5 tonnes. So you've just witnessed 4 people lift that incredible weight just by using their labour. Amazing. What a feat of engineering. Well, it is. But walking a trebuchet wheel is still reckoned to be one of the worst jobs in history. Right, the arm is down. It is locked down by a trigger which is pushed from a metal hoop. That is the release mechanism. Below the trigger, the trebuchet master's pushed in a steel pin, so you can't pull the trigger until you take the pin out. It's there for safety. And just to be doubly sure, he's also locked on a chain. So the shooting sequence will be, remove the pin, remove the chain, and then you can pull that trigger. Now this machine is capable of shooting a 150 kilo rock, well over 300 pounds. We don't do that on a regular basis, because if we did, we would destroy the end of this beautiful island in days. So we tend to shoot something around 20 kilos. But rocks out of trebuchets, why would you do that? You shoot rocks to batter down walls, be it of a town or of a castle. So you're attacking a castle. You have 100 trebuchets. You load them all with rocks and you bombard one section of wall until eventually you blast a hole in it. and then you fight your way in. It's going to cost a lot of lives, it's going to take time, and what do you end up with? You end up with a fortress with a huge hole in its wall. How do you then defend it against a counter-attack? No, it is far better to take it with its outer wall intact. How do you do that? Ignore the walls, but throw things over them. You can fight a dirty wall, empty all of the trees in the area, find dead and rotting animals, load them into your trebuchets and throw them over the wall, spreading disease. Psychological warfare. If you have prisoners, chop off the heads, load the heads into baskets and throw those in as well. You may just wear them down. Or of course there is fire. Now I know what you're thinking, castle's made of stone, stone doesn't burn. But most of the internal buildings of a castle are made out of timber. Wooden buildings, thatched roofs. Set them alight, it won't be very long before they're considering surrender. And you take that fortress with its outer wall intact. This afternoon, we would like to give you some idea of what that looks like. So out of this siege engine, we are indeed going to shoot a fireball! 80-kilo rock wrapped in sacking soaked in fuel all afternoon. You can't put it in a sleeve, it'll set in a light. So, within the rock you set a ring, a chain to the ring, a rope to the chain. You hook it to the end of the arm and you launch the entire thing. Out of the fuel mixture, onto the trough and onto the hook. The loader is ordered out of the way. The trebuchet master starts his safety checks. Is he happy with the machine? Has anything wandered onto our shooting range? All clear? He steps up and takes off those all-important safeties. First of all, he removes the chain. Then he gently pulls the pin from below the trigger, making the machine live. Steps down, takes the rope which leads to the trigger and orders the lighting of the projectile, which is add fire. The projectile is torched and it begins to burn in the middle of the trebuchet. Now he must hold his nerve. Pull the trigger too soon, it goes out. Too late, and his trebuchet's on fire. So he holds, and he holds. We launch!
Oh my God.
Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen.